Hello guys, my name is Aman and in this video I'll be explaining about variables in Python. So how variable works and what are the syntax for variable and its understanding. So we'll look at all of this. So to get started with, what is initially a variable? So a variable is defined as, we can say, a variable is a name given to a memory location. So let us try to understand what is this definition we are trying to write here. So variable is basically the name that is given to a memory location. So in low level, let us try to understand what is a memory, what is a location, and how does it internally work, right? So to get going with, so let us initially understand how does it work in low level languages. So given us some program which we execute. So basically whenever we execute program, we know that when the execution happens, it happens in something known as RAM, that is random access memory, what we generally know it as. So in this RAM there are millions and millions of memory cells that consist of register, and in low level we say that it is a flip-flop, right? So there are millions and millions of such memory blocks present in the RAM. Now whenever we write a program, say for example we write a program when we say a is equals to 7, so in low level what happens, it allocates a memory location. So it allocates this memory and it stores the number 7 and it says that this memory cell is called as a. So why do we basically give a name to this memory location? So the basic understanding is every memory location have to be identified uniquely, and for them to identify uniquely we have something known as address. So address is given to each and every memory location and it is completely unique. That is, say for example the hexadecimal address for this memory location can be A0F6, right? And for this it can be A0FA, something like this. So on, the address of each and every location will be different. Now every time I run the program here, it is not guaranteed that I'm going to use the same memory location. It can be somewhere here also, right? Every time I execute, the memory location can change. So every time it changes, it is very difficult to remember the addresses also that changes. So for this instance of compilation, I have to remember the address as this. For the next iteration, it can be something else. And for the next iteration, I can have some third address. So it is very hard to remember each and every unique address. And given one data, it might be easy. But if you are dealing with huge and lengthy data, then remembering the address for all of this is very difficult. So in that case, we just create an alias name. So what happens is, I tell my compiler I'm going to give a name called A in high level. So the compiler takes care of whatever new address is being created. That address will be mapping to this variable called A. So whenever I say A, internally it means that address, and it goes to that address and it fetches this value and gets the value saying this is 7. So this is how your variable works in low level. So writing some rules and regulations and some program for this. So there are few rules that we have to follow for variable. So what are the rules? We'll have a look at those rules, right? So rule number 1 is the variable name, it cannot start with digits, right? And then we have second rule, it cannot contain any special character except for underscore character, and then it cannot contain a keyword. And with that also, you cannot give any white space. So you cannot give any space between the variable names. So these are some rules that we have to follow while creating a variable. So let us look at some example. So here I create a variable called num, which I initialize to 10. So this is one of the valid variable. Now if same variable I give some space and then I assign, so it straight away gives me an error saying that it is an invalid. I cannot also start with the digit. So I cannot write 7 num is equals to 9. It gives me an error. But I can have digits after the alphabet. So I can have digits but not at the very beginning. So this case is possible. Now I cannot even have some keywords as my variable. So that also gives me an error. So these are some of examples how do you create an variable and use it in your Python programming language.